What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Premier League podcast. We'll be reviewing Gameweek 10 and previewing Gameweek 11. Today, let's introduce the panel. Firstly, Henry from the Palace Way. How you doing, Henry?
Yeah, not bad, Harry. How are you? Nice to meet
I'm very
John
good,
Joseph
thank you.
as well.
No, thanks very much for coming on. It should be a real good one, so really appreciate giving us your time this evening. So thank you very much for coming on. John,
No worries, mate.
how you doing?
Okay, first, can you hear us, guys? Can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, because my PC is not working at the minute. I mean, PC is fine, it's just not logging in at all. But I'm frustrated. But so I need to take it in somewhere, get it checked out, sort of thing. So apart from that, I'm fine, guys. Thanks for having us on. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Amazing.
It's a pleasure as always.
Cool.
So thank you very much. And Joesph, for your debut on the show, how you doing?
That does not exist.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thank you again for your time also. I really do appreciate it. So we'll crack straight into it. But actually, before we do, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I'm going to mute you, Joseph. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, do smash that subscribe button. If you're listening after on the podcast platform, don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star review. It'd be massively appreciated. Reminder, this is a Gameweek 10 review and a Gameweek 11 preview. So we'll start firstly with the Newcastle game. Right, you're on mute. That's perfect. I'll start with you, Henry. So the first game I want to talk about in Gameweek 10 is at St James's Park, which ended 1-0 to Newcastle over Arsenal. First game of the weekend, and it was a big result coming into it. But Newcastle really needed this win, didn't they? They went into it in bad form.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I think it's a great win for Newcastle. I think Arsenal, it was really interesting seeing both Arsenal and City losing and then Liverpool managing to pick up a win. I think it's hopefully we're gonna get a nice title run that can last for the length of the season, because we haven't had that in a very long time. But yeah, for Newcastle, great win, great goal from Isak. Brilliant, big fan of his. And I think, yeah, like you said, much needed for Newcastle. So see if they can push on from there as well. I think John will probably be able to tell you a bit more about that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, I will come to you next. Obviously, Newcastle fan. You're the one to really focus on in this. I've highlighted this game as obviously you're on. So you really needed that result, didn't you? Performances hadn't been great. Winless coming into this one for quite a few games.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, although I was going to the game, hopefully have to take a point, but it hasn't happened. But I'm just glad we won, Harry, because going into the game, right, I thought to myself, I really fancy this game at the day, because I think Arsenal's not at it. They're missing key players like Odegaard. They missed him. They haven't got a world-class number 9. They ain't got that. Look, at the end of the day, right, I mean, I thought when Eddie Howe picked the team lined up, I thought, wow, no Tonali, no Barnes. He plays a Longstaff, yeah. Then he goes to play work as well, which I don't mind. But seeing that, I mean, we just got to go with it. And social media is kicking off at Eddie, not playing the strongest team. However, I thought we scored a cracking goal. I thought we started well, by the way. Scored a cracking goal from Isak. First time cross from Gordon. Isak jumped like a salmon. Like, had no chance of the goal, but it's 1-0. But other than that, I felt we could have give it a real go at these. I didn't think Arsenal that good. I thought Arsenal were really poor. I mean, Declan Rice or Declan Couscous, right? That guy, he was woeful. Set piece, shocking, right? And I mean, Saka wasn't that good. Should have scored in the first half. Other than that, right? I mean, he didn't do that much. Yeah. Second half, I just thought we just played for the win. To be fair, we defended really well. I thought Eddie knew what he was doing. Put Tonali on for legs, put Harvey B for legs as well. But Arsenal were just one at it at all. I mean, Declan Rice, how did he miss that chance in the end? How did he miss that? But
yeah,
I thought we could have scored a couple more. I mean, Isak and Willock went close, Joe Linton went close. Other than that, I mean, I thought we really played well. I mean, it would have been harsh if we had not won that game. But do you know what? I'm just so glad, Harry, that we got the 3 points. We got the 3 points. I watched Arsenal's podcast as well, and they were kicking themselves, absolutely kicking themselves, and all. Weren't happy at all whatsoever. But we got the win. I'm over the moon for that, and away we go. 3 points, on we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And Henry, I'll come back to you. I mean, I want to talk about Arsenal because I think overall it's not the start of the season they would have wanted. Is it time to panic? Obviously, there's quite a gap between them and Liverpool already, 10 games in.
I wouldn't say time to panic. I think we've seen already quite early on. It's quite an expansive Premier League season. This, and we've got Forest up in third. There's teams. Obviously, United still struggling, but I think it's very open. And it's like I said earlier. I hope that it's one that can really carry on throughout the season, past Christmas, because normally we see this kind of close competitiveness before Christmas and pre sort of January, February time. But if we can get that into the sort of later months of the season, that'd be brilliant. I think the news coming out that Edu's left his role as sporting director at Arsenal is big news. I think that, especially since he's joining the group that owned by Marinakis, which of course includes Forest, I think that could definitely have some underlying consequences, but obviously we have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, I don't think it's time to panic. I think there's still time. Liverpool are going to lose more games. City are probably going to lose more games as well. And if Arsenal can win on the weekends when those two teams lose, then they could be back in it within 2-3 weeks.
Completely agree with you. It's a long season. And John, to bring you in on that, and Henry brings it up there. I actually completely forgotten about it, so I appreciate you bringing it up, Henry, is that Arsenal sporting director Edu has left. Do you think there's problem behind the scenes which has led to this? Obviously, we're hearing that it's a new job that he really wanted and he's taking it up, but it doesn't look good, does it, when things aren't going well for Arsenal? Because obviously a key part, wasn't he, in the Arteta project and being able to sign the players that he has.
Yeah, fact. I mean, I spoke to someone yesterday in the gym, and I reckon there's something's going on behind the scenes. That's why I think Edu left to go to Forest. I mean, I didn't think it was money to do with it, but he thinks that there's something going on. Better money could be, but I reckon something's going on behind the scenes because Arsenal. I mean, look, let's put it this way: Mikel Arteta, right? He should be sacked. He is not the man, in my opinion. Is going to take him forward. He cannot get this team over the line. He spent 800 M's, right? And he cannot get this team over the line. Yeah, bottom of the league, right? Lost in silly games last season, right? And he ain't good enough. I mean, let's put it this way: if George Graham was manager now, he'd get this team over the line. But
do you think he's overrated, Arteta, and the job he's done at Arsenal? Do you think?
For me personally, right? I mean, it's just a project manager for me. It's just a project manager. I don't think he's good enough. I'm not being funny, but it's not. Everyone, Arsenal fans, hype this guy up, saying he's the best looking Spaniard around. Yeah, and but in that, I don't rate this manager at all. I mean, they need a winning manager that's going to come in like a Simeone, like a Joesph, right? Okay, I think he's still got it. Like a Simeone at Zaghi, yeah? Like a Pep, well, similar to Pep, do you know what I mean? I think they missed a trick by not getting Diego Simeone a couple of years back. They could have gone all out for this guy. He would have took this team over the line. But back on Eddie, I think it's something going on at the club behind the scenes. No one don't know this, Harry. We don't know that, but I'm pretty sure that something ain't right because Eddie loves Arsenal. He's a charismatic man, yeah? But again, right, I don't rate him as SD as well, but he is charismatic. I get that. But something's going wrong. And for me, it's going to come out soon, Harry. All this is going to come out very, very soon. Yeah, but it does not look well. And I'll tell you something now. I don't know Arteta the last long. I really, really don't.
No. Well, I'll have to see how it goes. But see how it goes. We're not the start of the season they wanted. So thank you to both of you on that. We will move on to the next game. Again, we talk about shock results. I think this is even bigger. Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. And maybe the bigger shock here was that Bournemouth didn't win by more based on their performance. Henry, firstly, I want to focus on Manchester City, which I think a lot of people will. I think it's important to give Bournemouth credit in this. We'll get onto that as well. But City, this is a bit of a rough period, isn't it? They got knocked out against us Spurs in the Carabao Cup. Obviously, this game now is a loss as well, and obviously we know after this Champions League as well. So it's, they're struggling a little bit, aren't they? What do you kind of put that down to? Obviously, they've been unlucky with injuries.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Injuries. I think this is going to be a really interesting test of those Manchester City players' character, because these aren't players that are used to losing. At least not losing 3 times in a week, and we saw them get absolutely dismantled by Sporting last night. Obviously, Ruben Amorim on his final game for Sporting before joining Manchester United. I think it's going to be, like I said, a really big test of their character and their kind of guile to see, can these players go through a really tricky period, which has been the last week, and bounce back. Once again, time will tell with that one. It's hard to tell. Hard to predict, really. You just don't know. I think they're still sitting very comfortably, obviously second, only 2 points behind Liverpool. I think they have big injuries. De Bruyne, he might come back, and when he does, he'll probably have that 1 to 2 month spell where he's completely unplayable, like he normally has each season. And if he does that, then I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine, and they could quite comfortably get over the line once more. But I think it is really important to touch on Bournemouth, because I think Bournemouth have just been absolutely superb. I think Iraola has, he's rocked up down there. There were much bigger teams than Bournemouth, and I mean that with the biggest respect to them after Iraola. And, they managed to secure him, and the football they play, I think some of the players they've got, Antoine Semenyo is just mustard. I really wish Palace had signed him when we were linked with him. But I think, City are in a rough patch, and we just got to wait and see if they come out of it. I'm not actually too sure who their next game is against. If I can just get it up. Is it Brighton? It's Brighton. It's Brighton away, isn't it? Yeah, and that's a tough place to go. So we just got to wait and see what happens. But yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be a proper test of character for those Manchester City players.
It will be. They're certainly struggling. That's no secret. As you said, Henry, again, goes back to what you said earlier. It's a long season. Man City have had these before. We see it happen. It's just I think they've lost quite a few games on the bounce, or been disappointed, should say, quite a few games on the bounce. Brighton need a result as well. You could argue the same for them. So no, I do appreciate that, Henry. John, I'll bring you in on this because I think it's important to focus on Bournemouth also, and Iraola. Do you think Iraola's one of the more underrated managers in the Premier League? Because when we talk about top managers, I don't hear his name come up enough for me.
That's the thing. He's just so underrated. He's not getting the credit than he deserves, you know what I mean? But you know what it is, Harry, right? He comes up, right? He didn't have the best of starts in his Bournemouth career, right? I mean, never bigger close to the Satin, yeah? I'm glad Bournemouth didn't.
Yeah, agree.
Because you got to give managers time, to stop his authority, because I don't believe in sacking managers earlier on. You got to give him, it's a project, you got to give the guy time. But what he's done, right, he's got a style, right? He has got a style of play, right? He plays at back, plays 4-2-3-1, and now it's trademarks 4-2-3-1. The players now buy into his game, yeah? And I'm glad he stopped at Bournemouth for a second season, because I think this guy, let's be honest about it, Harry, right? I think he's destined for a bigger club. He's destined for a top job somewhere, because he's young, he's hungry, he's ambitious, and he's going to get far, this guy. Who else is after this guy before Bournemouth got him? No one. Because I'll be honest with you, right? I do watch Spanish League as well sometimes, but I never ever heard of this guy, yeah? But he did manage at, I think it was Vallecano before he left there, and if he took a break before he came to Bournemouth, yeah? But you know what? I mean, I think he'd do a good job with a club like maybe he's West Ham. I think he'd do well at West Ham if he went to West Ham. But he needs backing big time. But he's a really good manager, and I know exactly what he's all about. Don't forget, Harry, we haven't beat Bournemouth since he's taken over the club.
I think it's important, though. It is important to give Bournemouth their flowers, like irrespective of just looking at where his next move could be, because their owners come out recently and stated their 5-year plan to make Europe, and whilst they're obviously going to have to most likely make some adjustments in terms of the facilities around the club, the stadium predominantly, for that to happen. They've got a very young and very hungry and exciting team. And, like John said, a young and hungry and ambitious manager that's obviously doing very well. And yeah, there will be bigger teams after him. But, if Bournemouth are committed to him and give him the backing that he wants, or are paying him as much as he wants to be paid, then there's no reason for him to leave.
Yeah. The thing is, I agree with you, Harry, 110%. I mean, the thing is, right, if our owners, I'm Eddie in, right? But if Eddie Howe, right, gets a trophy of Europe this season, I'll be worried for him for the first time. Very worried. And I've got a feeling, right, that I think Ariola will be on that shortlist. I really do think that, because I think our owners love the way he works, the way he plays football, and he's young and he's driven. The guy's ambitious, yeah. But who's going to win a trophy first, Eddie Howe or Ariola? That's the question need to be asked. And I'm thinking, as things stand, I'd love it to be Eddie. I really do love it to be Eddie. But it's a hard one because we're still in the Carabao Cup. And if you go all the way, we've got a good chance. Because we already beat Tottenham, you lot. We've already beaten Arsenal. And if you take on either of those two, I'll be happy. If it's at home. But, tough one. I say just Eddie. But I would rule out Ariola. Because I'll tell you one thing down the tape for fast. If Bournemouth wins a trophy before Newcastle, with the greatest respect to Bournemouth, that'd be embarrassing. That'd be embarrassing, guys. Seriously.
I think I could say the same if you won a trophy for us, to be honest with you, in terms of where you were just a few years ago and how far you've come up. So I completely agree with you. I think Spurs and Newcastle, by the way, is similar in some ways in terms of home, really, really good, can blow anyone away on their day, but away from home, just neither seems to just travel well. There's consistency with both. Henry, did you expect both Manchester City and Arsenal to lose in the same weekend?
I mean, no, simply no. I mean, I think I saw a stat where it's over 20 years since Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool all lost in the same weekend. So we almost had that. Obviously, Brighton were 1-0 up inside the first half, so that could have broken that record. But no, you don't expect it, really, do you? Especially when you look at the teams. I think Newcastle was a tough place to go. I don't think Arsenal would have been going there. Even the most arrogant Arsenal fans would be going there and saying, yeah, this is an easy 3 points, because it's never an easy 3 points going to St James's Park. I think the Bournemouth, Man City, I think Man City fans similarly, purely just in the form that Bournemouth are in, you wouldn't be expecting it. So it definitely was on the cards. That's not to say I predicted it. But, it's just one of those where, for me, it's a fascinating thing, because my interest now is how these two teams bounce back from disappointing results. Obviously Arsenal play in 10 minutes against Inter Milan, so that's going to be a really tough game. City had the big loss last night, 4-1. So it's just about how these teams bounce back, and that's what I enjoy looking at, because obviously for a fan of Palace, I have to watch my team try and bounce back most weekends, and so it's going to be interesting to see that happen with City and Arsenal. Yeah,
absolutely. The next game we'll move on to Portman Road, which ended Ipswich 1, Leicester 1. John, were Ipswich hard done by in terms of officiating? We saw Calvin Phillips sent off 2 yellows. Second yellow come when Ipswich actually wanted a penalty. Should that have been a foul? Should that have been a foul? Should have been a penalty. But also for later on that Leicester goal, should have been a free kick to Ipswich in the build-up. Do you think they're hard done by the referees in VAR in this situation?
I was at the match of Newcastle Arsenal, but what I've heard that Calvin Phillips, I didn't think McKellar's very happy about it at all whatsoever. We're sending off by the sounds of it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Ipswich should have closed the game out. They should have closed the game out and defended properly. Absolutely. Because you're that far close away with your first win of the season. And the bottom line is, you got to close the game out. Calvin Phillips, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's been good enough. I really don't. But if I'm honest with you, I think he's clearly struggling. He clearly doesn't look fit. But I think Ipswich needs to win games very, very quickly, because they've got some difficult games coming up. Yeah. And it's a tough one for them, because they could have done with that win. And the free kick, I didn't see that instant. I heard a lot of people saying it should have been free kick before Leicester got an equalising goal. But you know what? I think Leicester would be absolutely happy. They'd be over the moon for that point. But Ipswich, that is 2 massive points dropped. But I only going by from the scorelines. But if Ipswich don't stay up this season, they will go back to that game. What happened against Leicester?
Yeah, definitely. Henry, do you think it's 2 points dropped for Ipswich, as John said?
I don't know. I think I've seen the highlights. I didn't have a chance to watch the game, obviously, because I think I was working and then watch Palace. But yeah, it's one of those. I think it's quite easy to look at a 94th minute equaliser for against a newly promoted team at home and say that they've got to do better to close the game out. But Leicester had 2 times the big chances that Ipswich had, and Leicester keeper only made 1 save. So for me, it's one of those where obviously not getting to watch the full 90 minutes, it's hard to tell. But I think it's one of those where Leicester, Ipswich might look back at the end of the season if they get relegated and think, oh, we could have done better there. But the thing is the Premier League is brutal. You can't. You've got to, if you want to see those games out, you've got to defend better, defend well. I think, like you both mentioned, Calvin Phillips getting sent off is obviously not going to help. And I think, like John briefly touched on, I've been really disappointed with how his career has progressed since Leeds. But I think, Leicester, touching on them, because I think they do deserve credit. I think they'll be fine this season. I think they look a solid side. And each week that goes on, I'm regretting Palace selling Jordan Ayew more and more. I wish it had been Jeffrey Schlupp that had gone instead, because I think he scored twice already this season, 2 really big goals, one at St Mary's and then obviously now at Portman Road. And you need players with experience, and Leicester seem to have a good mix of that with the likes of obviously younger players like Buonanotte. I think Leicester will be fine. I think Ipswich, they could look back and think, we could have done better there, but the reality of the Premier League is that if you're going to not be able to win home games at home, and shut opponents out, then you're gonna struggle to stay in the league.
100%. And I watched the game back on Match of the Day, and about the decisions, I looked here and I thought, I don't think that's a foul on Morsey. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think that it isn't a foul. I don't think there's enough in it. I think he loses the ball, holds on to it too long, and doesn't do anything with it. However, I think that second yellow card for Phillips is harsh, and I think they probably could have had a penalty. I know it's shoulder to shoulder, maybe, but there's a lot of aggression used unnecessarily. So maybe they were hard done by, but that is life of the Premier League, and you have to get the second goal, I think, as John says. But I do also agree with you, Henry. Leicester really, really stable, and I think recruited well, and they've given the chance that they've got a good manager who's been in that situation before with Forest and knows what he's doing. So I think that's absolutely massive. But we'll move on to the next game, which is Liverpool versus Brighton. Brighton were leading for a large period, and Liverpool turned it around. 2 quick goals. Mohamed Salah getting one of them. So Liverpool did complete the comeback. Got it here. 2 goals in 3 minutes. And Slot is the only Liverpool manager to win 8 out of 10 games, opening 10. So I think that's really impressive. So, John, what have you made of the start to Arne Slot's life at Liverpool? He's done really well, hasn't he, at the moment? Anyway,
100%. I mean, he comes in, right? I mean, he's inherited a team that Klopp has had before he left, and he comes in. There's nothing different, but I think Slot's making him more solid at the back. It's not kamikaze football, like rock and roll football in the club, but it's just, possession based. I mean, Arne Slot, I rated him a fine lord, plays free-flowing tackling football, and he's transformed it to Liverpool. Yeah. I think I'm going to be brave, right? But I think this guy could rock up and win the title in his first season. And I tell you what, as well, if he does that, then I think Manchester Arteta's going to be in big, big trouble. Yeah. I mean, what face is Arteta on? 5? What face is this guy on? His first season, and not many managers comes to the Prem, right, and win the title in their first season. Conte's done it. Yeah. Who else has done it? Mourinho's done it as well. Yeah. And did Ranieri did in his first season at Leicester? I'm sure he did. Or second season. I think it must have been the second.
Must have been second, yeah.
Must have been second. You're correct. I stand corrected. But Arne Slot's done an amazing job. What's he? 36 years of age, right? Comes in, young manager, and it'd be interesting to see how he does when he brings his own players come to Anfield. That'd be very interesting, because at the minute he's got Klopp's team, but what he's done an amazing job. Yeah,
he hasn't changed much, has he?
He hasn't.
He's kind of Klopp's foundation, but it's working, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. If it ain't broke or broke, why fix it? You don't need to fix it. Do you know what I mean? He's done well. He's just letting them carry on playing their football. Do you know what I mean? And yes, they lost to Forest at home, right? Then that's where the questions comes, right? And he didn't do with it. Then next game, came back, won the next game. However, I think this guy is destined. He's destined to the top. And I think, go back on the game, I think Brighton could have been 2-3 up before Liverpool got those 2 quick goals, by the way, because Brighton were excellent. They were excellent.
They were really good, yeah.
Really, really good. And the problem with Fabio, right, in a minute, I mean, they lost a couple of games now, and he's still a fantastic young manager. And I think this guy will be invested by Brighton. They spent, 200 million this summer, 200 million this season, right? We cannot spend, Harry. We can't spend because there's PSR. And I hope that we do get the sponsors in. I hope Man City win. Well, they have won the case anyway, part of the case anyway. I hope the Premier League wake the F up now and sort themselves out and give us the spender powers that we desperate need. Otherwise, we're going to go in the next season with Longstaff, Miggy, Murphy again. Yeah? But Liverpool, they just keep going and they keep going. And the question is, from then in, who's going to stop them? I mean, they drew with Arsenal, they passed the test. They beat United, passed that test. Yeah.
They've got Man City coming up, but at the moment, I don't think Man City can stop them. It'd be a case of can City stop Liverpool?
I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
No.
And we got them. We got them in a couple of weeks' time on December I think it's December the 4th. What's the 23rd, 30th? To December the 4th, I think it is. I mean, Harry, we're not beat these. We're not beat these lot. No way.
Yeah, 100%. No, thank you, John.
What's they doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. Scott certainly, started really well, better than any other Liverpool manager. Yeah, Henry, before we shift the focus to Brighton, what have you made of Arne Slot start to like? Because it feels like he hasn't necessarily done much or changed much, but, he's absolutely perfect, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to change much. Though. You're inheriting a really good squad, a squad that for the majority has played together for a very long time. The core foundation of the squad and the kind of talisman in that team are players that have been at Liverpool for a long time. And obviously, you've got the likes of Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz who have entered the fray in the last season, and they're starting to kind of step on and be really good. I think, like you said, he hasn't. It appears he hasn't done much, but I do think it was really interesting the way that Klopp handed the reins over, though. I think that definitely did a lot of good for Arne Slot. He was very encouraging of Slot and kind of encouraged the Liverpool fans to kind of accept that Klopp was leaving, but also just transform the love that they have for him just straight to Slot. And I think you can see that, obviously a really good win away at Portman Road on the first day of the season, and then they won obviously back-to-back games, so it was first 3 wins in a row. Obviously, the loss to Forest at home was disappointing, but that's against the Forest side that have gone on since then to prove that they're actually just a very good side this season. They comfortably beat Bournemouth, came to Selhurst, and this is the difference for me at the minute between the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, is that Liverpool came to Selhurst and potentially didn't deserve to win and still grinded that result out. I think, obviously, you've seen Arsenal have results where they should be winning games and they haven't been able to kind of get over the line. They've had players sent off. I think even you could say the same about City against Bournemouth. That really should be a game that they're winning. But, I think Liverpool just doing brilliant. They obviously beat Chelsea, drew against Arsenal, beat Brighton. And then on Saturday, they've got Villa at 8 o'clock. And, this is a Villa side that are really not doing very well at the moment. They're also not in a good spell. Obviously, I think they've just lost to Club Brugge 1-0 in the Champions League as well. So I think, Slot's doing brilliantly, even in Europe as well. I think if he was to win the league in his first season, I slightly disagree with John, just in the sense that I don't think that really has too much of an impact on Arteta's position and his job safety, because they're just completely different clubs. I think Liverpool have obviously been there and done that. A lot of those players did win the Premier League when they won it in COVID. So I think it's a fair point though. But yeah, for me, Liverpool it's almost like back to, I feel like they were petering out a little bit under Klopp, and now it's almost like they've kind of got revitalised. They've got that energy and that high press. And I think I saw someone say in the comments just a second ago that because of how Arne Slot sets up, even if they're losing as they were against Brighton, the comeback always does seem likely, and they always seem like they do have the goals in them. So I think they could definitely be in with a shout to go on to win the league. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, 100%. And Henry, before we move on to the next game, I want to ask you about Brighton. How do you think they started life under Fabian Hertz? So obviously, as John said, not results that they would have wanted recently, but I still think it's an exciting season, isn't it, for them? And do you think they deserve something out of this game? Because they looked really positive, in particular in that first half.
Well, you know me, I'm never going to say that Brighton deserve anything from a game, but you know, no, they are obviously a really good team. There's a lot of frustration at Palace, the fact that we can't be the same, or pushing for the same heights as they are. But yeah, like you said, I mean, looking at it now, I didn't realise that they went unbeaten in their first 5 games, and form might have fell off. I think I live in Brighton, so a lot of my friends are Brighton fans, and I think a lot of the discourse that I have with them at the moment is that their frustration is around that they don't get over the line against the smaller teams in the Premier League. So obviously Wolves at home, they were 2-0 up and drew 2-2. I think Forest at home, they would have wanted to win. Ipswich at
How
home,
long have they been doing that for? I remember Graham Potter.
I mean, yeah,
he couldn't put the ball in the net.
This has been an issue for them for a long time, and as they've all reminded me consistently. But yeah, they're a great side, and they've got good players, and they've got a really exciting young manager. So we just got to wait and see if he can keep the form going. And obviously, drawn 1 and now lost, but City at home, you never know. That could be a game that they could win.
It could be, based on how City are doing at the moment. But our next game, go to the City ground where Forest thumped West Ham 3-0. Forest to go inside the top 3. Who saw this coming? Chris Wood, the top goal scorer as well. So, John, I'll come to you firstly. Before we kind of dissect everything and the post-match result, I suppose. Edson Alvarez was sent off, 2 yellow cards. Do West Ham have a discipline problem under Julian Locatelli? Several players have been sent off now. Kudus, by the way, today, if people didn't see it, his 3-game match ban has been upgraded to a 5-match ban. I think that's personally rightly so. I think he's pushed, he's gone for 2 players. He's lashed out at someone else. I think he completely lost his head. So do they have a discipline problem?
Well, I think they have to know, Harry. That's down to the manager. The manager's got to control them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say, look, you need to stop this disciplinary. It's getting out of hand because it's not good enough for a club like West Ham. West Ham takes pride of their clubs having been professional, and the attitude's got to be spot on. You can go back to the Billy Bonds years, yeah? You wouldn't take any crap from no players at all, yeah? John Lyle, the same, yeah? Play with pride. Now, you got some of the West Ham players there. Some of the players' attitude ain't right. Kudos, I'm a big fan of Kudos. I think this guy's going to be a baller, yeah? But his disciplinary record ain't great at all whatsoever. And they need to iron that out very, very quickly. Otherwise, they could be in trouble with their record and that sort of thing. But I think Lopetegui's been lucky this season. He really has. Because I tell you what, some of the performances hasn't been great for a West Ham team. And if I was a West Ham fan, I would have just waited and get someone else decent in. Do you know what I mean? But that's the problem. I mean, they're winning games, but it's a disciplinary record, Harry. It's just disgraceful. It really is. And I don't know what's going on at the club, but I just feel something needs to be done about it, mate.
I'd just jump in and say that
I
think it might just be one of those where it's a case of be careful what you wish for. And I know Palace fans were warned about that before Glasner came in. And I think, David Moyes has probably sat back sipping on his wine on the Saturdays and watching West Ham not doing very well and thinking, well, I told you so. I think there was a lot of complaints about the style of football that Moyes plays, but what Moyes does guarantee you is security in a sense, obviously.
Right.
And then, but then you even, I always found it quite bizarre, in fact, like, the kind of attitude from West Ham fans towards Moyes. Obviously, wins a Europa Conference League with them is one of the biggest moments in the club's history. And
agreed.
Yeah, there's fans at his neck, and now you're seeing the same thing where they seem to be kind of realizing that and thinking, oh well, actually, you know what, maybe Moisey wasn't that bad. But I think you've got to take any result at the minute against Forest with a pinch of salt. Looking back at Palace's loss, the 1-0 loss on the Monday night 2 weeks ago, that's not a bad result now at the City ground. I think, they've got obviously Newcastle this weekend. That I'm definitely going to be watching that game because I think that'll be an absolute cracker. But I really don't think that Newcastle fans should be disappointed if they go to the City ground and lose, because this is a really, really, really strong Forest team, and they just all seem to be clicking. Obviously, you've got Chris Wood up front, who's just in the form of his life. The players either side of him, I think Alanga, Hudson-Odoi, you've got so much depth in that squad, and a player that obviously it'll be interesting to see how he gets on Sunday, Elliot Anderson against his former club. Yeah. I mean, week on week, you wonder why on earth Newcastle let him go.
Do you know what it is, guys? We strengthened Forest as well. I mean, Elliot Anderson, right? and we took Vlachodimos as well. And we didn't need him. We needed someone who plays on the right side of mid. Elanga would have been perfect for Newcastle. 100%. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But I think we missed a massive trick not getting Elanga in the deal with Elliot Anderson. Do you know what I mean? But I tell you what I blame the Premier League, because they're the ones who created this, right? They have created that for PSR. Get rid of the young talent, improve them, and
So what would you do if you're the Premier League? FFP, PSR. What would you do in this position if you were them at the moment?
I'll scrap it, Ali. I'll scrap it. It's FFP,
Completely.
PSR. I'll scrap it completely. Because the thing is, though, it's anti-competition. Do you know what I mean? You don't see that in Italy or Spain or the Bundesliga or in the Premier League. And I tell you now, right, the reason they put this PSR in and FFP is because, and I'll tell you now, it's because it was just to stop Newcastle United that causing damage in the Premier League. Very scared to see what we're going to do in the transfer market with the Saudi money. That's why they brought it in. Do
you think it would be unfair without FFP, PSR, and like potentially not being that competition there?
The thing is, though, right? I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it as long as you have a cap. Say you spend 250 mil and no more than that. That is fine. I accept that. But the thing is, right? I mean, you look at Tom Brighton. Like I said, they spent 200 mil. Arsenal spent 800 M's under Arteta, yeah. Chelsea spent $1 billion, and Sam got a world-class striker up there, or world-class goalkeeper, yeah. Tottenham, I'm not sure how much they spent. Probably over 100 mil, couple 100 million maybe, so I don't know. But for me, they are protecting the big six. And I'm sorry, they're protecting the big six. Yeah. They got the cartel.
I don't know. I really...
You ask any Newcastle fans out, they told the same.
Yeah, but I think that's because Newcastle are in a position where you've got this Saudi money that's coming. I'm not being funny. I like genuinely, and this is completely putting all my cards on the table. For you, if Sunderland were still in the Premier League and Sunderland had the Saudi investment and you were in the position that a team like Palace are in, well, we haven't, I don't think you'd have the same stance on the PSR. I think we say, oh, there needs to be a cap, and there is a cap. The rules are very clear. For my finals in my sports journalism degree, I wrote one of my final essays on PSR and really dug into it. And the more I researched into it, the more I realised actually it's really not that unfair. I think to say it protects the big six, if anything, it kind of, in my opinion, it allows for a bit more competition because otherwise teams like Manchester City and now Newcastle could go out and spend 500, 600 million in a single transfer window and have no backlash. And then the difference between those teams and teams like Palace and Bournemouth, look at Bournemouth now. They've spent, they reinvested the money really well from Solanke. They brought Evan Nilsson in even before they sold Solanke, so they got a good deal signing. And you say Brighton, but look at the sales Brighton have made. Chelsea alone have handed Brighton almost 175 million over the last 3 seasons. So that's not Brighton and probably far off breaching PSR because of all of that profit that they've made. I think I completely understand the frustration that you might feel, John, as a Newcastle fan, because you've got this kind of Saudi investment. If I was you, I'd be like, well, yeah, I want us to push on. I want us to be challenging now. But I do think you've really got to look at the other teams in the league. So your Palaces, your Bournemouths, your Forest, and think, well, you know what? Is it really fair if because then it's not a big six. It's not protecting a big six. It just becomes a big 7 and then a big 8, and then it's just a lottery of who gets the next Saudi or Arab owner who's got billions in the bank that he's willing to splash.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I see your point. I respect that sort of thing. Yeah, but we have got the money. We got money. We're not the richest club in the world. We've got the richest owners in the world.
Do you know what the alternative is, though? Do you know what you should be doing? And it is through player sales of your best players. And the Premier League's answer in particular will be get rid of St James's Park, build a new stadium like Spurs have done and what Everton are now trying to do, and bring in that money away from football also to be able to spend on the first year. I completely understand where you come from. Where I will feel a little bit of sympathy for you is that Chelsea and Man City got away with it for so long, and then you come in, Saudi investment, and you can't, you treat differently to how they were. I find that frustrating. I think Chelsea in particular, for me, have got away with it under Roman Abramovich. That really frustrates me as a Spurs fan. But without PSR and FFP, the issue is we know that Bowley would spend $1 billion, $1.5 billion in a single window. He's already spent a lot as it is, but it double, if not triple that, if he could. And that's why there has to be his restriction. The cap's not a bad idea, but that's, I think, why it's here at the moment. But I totally get frustrated by Newcastle. But I think you have to look at Isak and probably get what you can for him, spend some of that money elsewhere, and just try and reinvest that in maybe two great players. As good as Isak is, and as frustrating it is, you just need to see who you can get the most out of. Anthony Gordon, I don't think his price is going to go up anymore. What can you get for him? I know it's frustrating, but I think that's the position you're in, because I don't think fans will be prepared to go to a new stadium.
Yeah, that's the only way there, Harry. I think that's the only way. I mean, I love St James's Park. And for me, if someone asks us, should we stay where we are or move on? For me, I'll move on, because you need to move away from St James's Park, because you cannot build more than 52,000 where it is. I'm not going to lie to you. But we need to, if you just move it up a little bit, like Leicester Park, which is not far, there's only a couple of 100 yards to St James's Park, then that is fair enough. We have to move with the times. I'm sorry, we have to. We have to move. I'm sad to lose St James's Park. But
it's definitely sad, but like Spurs fans generally accepted it to compete, and we've spent a lot more since the new stadium. But before we move on, because I'm wary because of time, on the Forest and West Ham game, I just want to touch on Locatelli before we end. So because of time, I'm just going to ask you both for a yes or no answer, and that's whether West Ham should sack Locatelli before Christmas, which is obviously it was a brief question. Or I'll tell you what, we'll change it to make it easier. Should West Ham sack Locatelli now? Let's change it to that. If you were, in the hands of West Ham, Karen Brady, what would you do? So, John, I'll come to you first. Would you sack Locatelli, yes or no?
Can't see it this season. Do look at it at the end of the season.
Okay, thank you, Henry. What do you reckon?
I think you ride it out for at least a month or two more. I think, and then if a manager comes up, because it's like we were saying last week, Harry, who'd you go and get? There's not a big depth of talented managers. So for me, I'd wait it out a bit.
I agree with you. I'd give it at least until Christmas and see. I think he's had a lot of money to spend, but players don't like that, don't gel quickly. But the next game we'll move on to Southampton, Everton, where Southampton beat Everton 1-0. Southampton with their first win, but they do still remain in the bottom three. Henry, Calvert-Lewin blanked once again for Everton. No goals, no assists. Is it time for Everton to, start benching him and playing Beto instead, who's proven that he can do it?
I mean, this is where this show will be. It will be ideal to have a fan from every single club on, and I know that's completely impossible. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard. I think Calvert-Lewin's always been so clutch for Everton. He's always scored important goals. I think he's struggling recently, but it kind of I keep coming back to this point at the moment in this season where this is, for me, it's a very competitive Premier League throughout, even near the bottom of the table. I know people are kind of looking at the Southamptons and Ipswiches and thinking that they're just throwaway teams that are definitely going to be relegated, but Southampton have shown this weekend that's just gone that they're going to try and make St Mary's a tough place to go to. They almost got 3 points against Leicester, and then obviously there was that late turnaround. I think it's very easy to look at the kind of newly promoted teams each season and think, it's just a guaranteed 3 points every game. But yeah, in terms of Cavalier and Beto, we had a similar issue with Edouard and Mateta where, Edouard just really wasn't firing. You give Mateta a run of games and then he scores goals. I think what we haven't really seen is a proper chunk of games in a row for either. And, it might be that if you give Beto 4 or 5 starts in a row, he just hits the ground running and is able to just start becoming a goal a game sort of player. And that would be really good for Everton.
Yeah, 100%. John, bring you in on this. Southampton, is that a big win for Russell Martin and them?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I think you look at Southampton. I mean, they dropped some points from winning positions as well. Look at the game against Ipswich. They got their considered a late goal, and then against Leicester, 2 goals up, and dropped points as well. Lost the game as well. So they dropped 4 points there before they beat Everton. Look, I thought it was a massive win for the Saints. Yeah, I mean, he needed that win to get off his back. I think Russell Martin will never change the way he plays. He'll keep the same as it goes, and it'll work. So yeah, I mean they got the win. And as for Everton, well, couple missed chances again. Beto was offside. Going back to what Harry said, I kind of agree with you. I think he needs to start now. I'll drop GCL. Give Beto a go. Give him 5-6 games, see what he does. You just never know. He may offer something different. But for me, they have to kick on now, Saints. They have to kick on. And they got a tough game against Wolves. That's a massive 6-pointer.
It's certainly a big game. Next one, I'm going to have to go to you first, Henry, with this one, because it is Wolves 2, Crystal Palace 2. I really enjoyed this game, by the way. I think it's full of entertainment. Do you think that was a better point for you than Wolves overall? Obviously, I know it was frustrating in terms of you had chances in that game to certainly win it. But overall, is that quite a good point?
I wouldn't say it's a bad point. I don't think any point in the Premier League is a bad point. I think, as it was a massive game for them, it's probably one that they maybe looked at a month ago, and as they looked at their next coming up games and thought, yeah, we could get a win there. I think, as you touched on, the frustration was that we really should have put that game to bed very early on. Ismail Assar could have had a hat-trick throughout the game. And, we conceded really poor goals and really there's defensive errors again. And I know Chalobah scored up the other end of incredible finish for a centre-half, but I think he made a slight error, I think, for the Wolves' first goal. Maybe it was the second. And it was just disappointing. And it was for me, it was the speed of which we kind of got turned around. Obviously managed to get back into the game through Mark Gay, so there's 2 centre-backs scoring. But yeah, I think, there's definitely a frustration still. I mean, obviously our week's been better since we last spoke. Harry obviously beat Villa in the cup as well.
Yeah.
But it's hard because we've then had Eze and Wharton both go off injured. Wharton's finally had that groin surgery that I was telling you about last time I was on the pod, and now Eze's out. It's unknown really how long he's going to be out for. And Ketty has apparently picked up a hamstring injury, so we're kind of back again to really bare bones squad. And then obviously the big talking point of the game was the disallowed goal at the end, which was, it's one of those where if you look, and I've done a lot of reading of the exact wording of the rules recently since that happened, and the referees consider the goalkeeper to be in control of the ball as long as the ball is between their body and another surface. So that could be their body and their chest, their body and the floor, or even their body and another player. What the rules don't take into consideration is how long that contact has to last. I think it's one of those where it's pretty clear to most people that watch that Sarr slid out and he's kind of almost parrying the ball, and he's got it under control, if you like, for a matter of seconds, if that.
Not long.
Probably less than that, in milliseconds maybe. And the pressure from Munoz. So this is where.
What's he meant to do? That's the question here. What was he meant to do?
Far too protected. Exactly. Is he not allowed to challenge the ball? Exactly. Because is that a foul if it's 2 outfield players and one of them slid and kicked the ball and the other one's coming late with a bit of a shoulder barge? It's probably not. It's probably just play on. And and then Mateta scores it, and then it's just frustrating. I just don't know. And I understand the rules are very black and white, but I think that it's like we were saying again. I touched on last time we were on, and how you really do need to kind of use kind of common sense in these scenarios and think, actually, he had the ball, he had 2 hands on the ball, but he didn't ever have it under control. He's still pushing it away.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to feel aggrieved because I want Palace to win, but at the end of the day, we should have won that game by 3 or 4 goals if we'd actually taken our chances, and we didn't. So I can't be too upset. But yeah, for me, that's one of the worst decisions I've seen this season so far.
If we're being honest here, if the referee didn't blow his whistle, I don't think VAR get involved, and I think the goal stands. That's the frustrating thing if you're a Palace fan, and that for me isn't right. That VAR's decisions based off the referee, and that's just not what it was brought in for. I agree with giving more power
Well, did we
to
not?
the referee,
we had this
but
exact conversation about.
yeah.
We had this exact conversation after Palace Spurs, didn't we, about both the Van de Ven red card and or the potential red card, and then the Eze penalty as well. And it does seem to be that I'm kind of talking to people and saying the same thing every week, that, you know, well, if the ref gives it, it's probably not overturned, but, you know, if he doesn't, it's also probably not overturned. And it's kind of because then it gets to the point where what actually is the point of VAR? If the referee's going to disallow a goal and then VAR look at it for, I mean, that goal, they looked at it for 5 seconds and straight away thought, that's no goal. And actually, if you kind of took your time and sat back and really analysed the kind of momentum of both players, how long the ball's actually under control, if you like, it should have stood.
Yeah, absolutely. John, Wolves have a really bad defensively, I think, in this game. What do you put that down to? Obviously, they've goalkeeper problems, Sam Johnson, Jose Sarr, who's it going to be? They flip-flop between the two and now favouring Jose Sarr, and there's this kind of little period of games, but also they lost Max Kilman, to West Ham, which I think, they had him the whole of pre-season. I think it was a big blow to them. So do you feel sorry for Wolves in that sense? And, like losing Neto late on as well? They lost several players like that, didn't they? When they looked really good in pre-season, they're being like Ajax, Benfica, and teams like that.
Yeah, thing is, though, right? I mean, you use their key players like you just mentioned there, Neto, and also lost Kilman. Kilman at the back, he's a leader, proper leader. But it seems to me that Gary O'Neill plays a back three. He normally plays 4-2-3-1, but he plays a back three this time. They have got some good players, but it's just concentration problem for Wolves at this moment in time. They're seeing goals for fun, and you can't be doing this in the Premier League. But for me, I mean, I don't think they placed Neto properly. I don't really think they placed Kilman properly. Yeah, they've been like players in Portugal and that, and just on the cheap and on the cheap and then sell on for profits. You know what I mean? I think Andrea will come good, who came through from Fluminense, so he'll come good. But the trouble is the Wolves, I mean, they can score goals, but it's just the defence at the minute. And Gary O'Neill just can't get a tune out of the defence. He used to last season. He did a fine job last season, but this season, they are struggling big time. They are clearly struggling. Have they won a game? They haven't won a game, haven't they? Yeah, they haven't won a game this season, right?
No, not yet. Along with Ipswich.
One game, I think Gary O'Neill has only won once in 20 games. That, my friends, is sackable offence. Now, I think Wolves now has got to make a decision on Gary O'Neill. Because, look, he's a lovely lad. He's a proud guy. But football is a soul's business, and Gary O'Neill hasn't been getting them, I can't see him lasting until Christmas. I really cannot, if this carries on. But
and the fans,
for me,
the fans have really turned. The fans have really turned against as well.
That's the thing. And once your fans turn, then you're done.
I think he needs time. He's ungrateful from Wolves fans. I think he done really well last year. And look at their fixtures. Right?
I hope he says.
Yeah, so do I. But I look at those fixtures, and what more could they really wanted apart from a point here and there? Maybe somehow you find a way to win this game, that type of game against teams that are in and around you. But I find it crazy. They've lost their best players for the window, haven't been replaced.
No.
They've had, been struck with injuries, etc. And I don't think that, and I don't think they, signed the right goalkeeper in Sam Johnson. If I'm honest with you, they didn't shift Sarr. I don't think he was helped. Maybe obviously some of them are his decisions, but tough fixtures. And I just think he'll come next 6 games. I think Wolves, not being funny, they win 3 or 4 of them and find themselves, in mid-table in no time. I think they'll be completely okay. I think they'll pull themselves away from as Crystal Palace as well. I think we'll do exactly the same. I know you've got injuries, but I think you'll be okay. And I think there'll be a point in the season, whether that may be probably after the international break, where you obviously in a not bad period now, but you turn the corner, you get a couple of wins in a row. That's what's needed. We saw what Glasner was capable of last year, and I think Palace done a lot in the transfer window, some good things, some bad things, and I think it just hasn't quite glued together. So many things happen at once. Same with Wolves, loads of players out, loads of players in. Isn't going to click like that. That just we've seen it with Forest. For me, it's just about clicking now. They've just about got the right balance in every department, and when it does click, boy, does it click really well. But I think we will move on to the next game. John, how long can you stay on the show for? Just to check.
I'll stay as long as I can if you want.
Okay, fantastic. Henry, what's best for you? When's best to jump? It's completely up to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could probably do another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't mind either way. It's up to you.
Till probably just before 1:45.
Okay, let's aim for that. So we'll review the remaining 3 games, and we just do score predictions for the 11 games. Yeah. Thank you so much. The next game we'll move on to is Tottenham and Aston Villa. I think maybe I should start this one. As a Spurs fan, I'm really happy with this result. I think it's been a really good week. Going through to the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, I've spoken about on the show a lot. That meant a lot to me. 16 years without a trophy, haven't seen one yet in my lifetime. I think we have to prioritise that this year. Carabao Cup's the quickest route to do that. Villa in bad form. There's no way, two ways about it. They've not good results. They've dropped points late against Bournemouth. They've lost this game. They got knocked out to you, Henry, Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. They lost again tonight. People haven't seen it in the Champions League against Club Brugge. They have hit a rough patch of form, and they haven't really got injuries or anything to blame. So I don't think I think Emery and Villa will be fine. This is just a blip, but we haven't quite seen this in his reign so far at Aston Villa. So many losses at once, apart from when they progressed in the latter stages of the Conference League. So, John, I'll bring you in on this. Is there any need to panic for Villa, or does Emery have it under control and they can still achieve a lot this year? Because it's important to remember they've started their Champions League campaign overall really positive.
I think it's a blip. I mean, I know there's a lot of games to play, but I think Emery knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, look, I think it's a blip because Villa are a strong team under United. Do you know what I mean? They've got some good players there. Yeah. I mean, I think you caught them at a very, very good time, to be fair, because Villa's got one eye on the Champions League as well. And
it's a lot to balance.
There's a lot to balance. We've been in that situation last season as well, where you play Champions League as well. It's not easy. It's not. But Villa's got some good players there. Yes, they got they need to sort out John Duran out, sort of thing, where he's good enough to start or not. That's the thing. But they got Ollie Watkins in there, but he's still a wonderful striker. I rate this guy very, very highly. But for me, I think Villa needs to go back to basics a little bit. If they can go back to basics and start play how they used to play, they'd be absolutely fine.
What do you think that evolves, though? What have they changed then? Like, obviously, Spurs, they sat back.
Yeah, I mean, so sat back to play more counter-attacking football with pace, you know what I mean, with your side. I think with Ange Postecoglou, right, I don't understand why some of the fans want him gone. I don't get that. I don't understand that. This guy is a wonderful manager. He really, really is. Spurs takes pride in open attacking football. Yeah, Spurs fans live for that. That's your guy there. That's your good guy there. And it's a fantastic manager. Yeah, he's giving you football the fans are going to enjoy. Yeah, every single week. Yeah, okay. He can be a bit open at the back. I'm not going to lie, but plays the high line too much. Going forward, they are absolutely wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful going forward. You know what I mean? Look, you got Brennan Johnson playing the game of his life this season. He has been fantastic, Brennan Johnson. He really has. I mean, you got Jay Madison when he plays. He's quality. You got Dominic Solanke, right? Let's be real, right? I'm not going to lie. I didn't want Newcastle, but I changed my mind on this guy now because he obviously something different. He's come alive. This guy's come alive. And I think this guy is going to be a fantastic player for you, Harry. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you got the one player I rate as well. He's so underrated, and that's Sarr. He is fantastic. Yeah. He is getting better and better and better. And I tell you what, he's better than Longstaff, by the way. Levels. But one thing I'm going to say, right? I think Sarr's playing his best football for Tottenham. I really, really do. Van der Ven and Romero, don't get me wrong. Van der Ven, quality. Romero needs to come down his tackles a wee bit. Pedro, going forward, I think he had a good game as well. I love him bombs forward as well. And Doggy, I like this kid as well. Good player, solid, goes forward. And yeah, all I can say, he got some good players there, Harry. All you need to do, tighten up the back, score some more goals, and I think top 4 or 5 will not be out of the question for you, mate.
Yeah, summarise it perfectly. Please send that to Ange Postecoglou, tighten up a little bit defensively. I completely agree with you. I really do like him, but I think
all he's got to do, I'd take him at Newcastle. I'd take this guy to Newcastle. If Eddie Howe gets sacked, I'd take this guy.
Would you take him over Eddie Howe right now? I know you're happy
with him. Look, Celtic's the second team, and I think Ange's done a wonderful job there. Let's be real.
You can be honest.
Yeah, I'll keep Eddie. I'll keep Eddie for now. Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's fine.
if they decide to move him on, and Ange is on that list, I take him all day long.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear. Henry, what did you make of this game? I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, what's your takeaway from this? Is it how good Spurs were, how bad Villa were, or how good Villa were in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the whole game, but it was one of those. It was a weird one. It was those games where it's like I was watching it and sat there, and by the time that you scored the third goal, I was thinking, how are Spurs winning this 3-1? And then ending forward. It wasn't a 4-1 game for me. It was a lot more balanced now. I think, like you said, Spurs. You obviously just really took your chances, and fair play to you. But yeah, I just remember watching it, and the main kind of thought going through my head being that, wow, is this a sign that Spurs are kind of like in a sense, and it's going to flatter you hugely, Harry, but in a sense, it reminded me of sometimes watching City, where you just look up and then they've scored again, and then they've scored again, and then by the end of the game they've won 4-1, and you can't really remember much of what's happened, but it all has. And obviously, like we've all said, Villa are a bit of a blip. I wouldn't take the cup loss to Palace too heavily into that, because they played a very weak side. And Palace should have won that game when the start line.
That's why they should have done better. In this game,
they
should have done better. I think.
I'm excited to see how Spurs continue. Yeah. But then I do think there's sometimes a bit of a risk because it was pretty much the full 11 rested against Palace, and I do think that can be a bit risky sometimes in terms of getting players into kind of a flow state. But I'm excited to see if Spurs can. Because I think my frustration with Spurs is that they've never seemed to be able to just do what they did against Villa consistently, and if they can do that, then God knows where they could end up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. We'll move on to our final two games. Again, I'm aware of the time, so John, I'll come to you first. Man United won, Chelsea won. It's interesting because I watched this game on Match of the Day, and I thought, oh my goodness, how have United not won this? But then they were like, Chelsea were excellent, weren't they? So maybe I wasn't watching very much. Maybe there's something that I missed, but that's not, or maybe it's just what they show, because it's not the impression I got. And I did see some of the game live as well. And again, I thought it was mainly United. I don't think they were perfect, but I thought they improved. So how did you view this game?
This game should have been game. Well, if you go back a couple of years ago, that'd be a top four game. Now you're getting two. I wouldn't say not so good teams in a minute. Man, they're still bang average. That squad is bang average. I'm sorry, that ain't good enough. I've always said United. It's the worst United team I've seen in years. As for Chelsea, they're progressing. And Cole Palmer as a 10, Nicholas Jackson's improved a lot every week. I think he's a really good player. Yeah. And Maresca's done a fantastic job at that football club. He really has. But for me, it was definitely a penalty kick, no doubt about it. Oyland just got touched by Sanchez. That's a penalty kick all day long. And Bruno Fernandes finished it well. And then, what a cracking goal by Caicedo. That ball, that technique, so difficult to do. Let the ball drop, and he smacked it in the bottom corner, leaving the keeper Nana no chance whatsoever. But for me, what's that quality? Do you think it's a quality game? Do you think that's quality, didn't it? I think it's two average teams out there. It's like watching two average teams. You know what I mean? Try to bet in. I don't know what you think, but for me, Chelsea is going to go for the top four. That's a little bit better than that. But Man U, when Amorim comes in, he's got a big job on his hands, big time, because you look at that team and he wants changes. I can see some of those players will not fit into the style of play because he plays fast, quick football.
That is the thing. How can this United team play back three? Will he play it? Be interesting to see. But I think Amorim's start to Man United has started off really well without him even getting going. That result against Man City, beating your rivals, the game before you join your club is something quite special, and not just beating them, but thrashing them as well. But Henry, I'll come to you on the last game, West London derby that Fulham won in the end. 91st minute, Brentford were leading this game. Harry Wilson got a brace off the bench to win it. for Fulham. Is this one of the best substitute appearances we've seen for a long while? Harry Wilson.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Fulham were the better
got to be.
team as well. But
Unfortunately, I was working last night till. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that as well. I mean, even if you just look at the flow chart of the game on your social scores and football, it's all Fulham, and I think that it's one of those. Obviously, I didn't watch the game because I was working unfortunately until late last night or Monday night anyway. But it's one of those where I kind of came out and I saw both goals, but especially the second one, obviously going viral on Twitter. And I think that's what it's all about, really. It's probably a game that a lot of neutrals aren't really that bothered about, but one of those where you tune in on a Monday night just because you want something to watch, and then you get Harry Wilson coming off the bench and scoring twice in 5 minutes to beat their biggest rivals. And I don't know if you've heard it, but the commentary from Fulham's club commentators is absolutely excellent. They just absolutely lose it.
I haven't
listened.
I
think it was a game that really. I think it's. Yeah, you definitely should. I think it was a game that kind of just bought it home that whilst it's a big league with lots of big teams battling in it, there's also smaller clubs that have big rivalries and big games, and I think hopefully Palace Brighton can cook up something similar, and it will be Palace that gets some late winner or two.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely for your sake. John, to bring you in on this, did Fulham deserve the win in the end? Barney mentioned it in the chat. They dominated this game. Brentford sat back with a clear plan, as they have done several times, to try it against Spurs, Man City, and every time they do seem to lose, despite their good start to the season when they play that way. So Fulham deserve it, of this win. They've been obviously unfortunate to conceding late goals. This time they've turned it around in their favour in stoppage time.
100%. Harry Wilson scored a cracking goal, by the way, and a cracking finish as well at the end as well. So they deserve to win this game. Brentford, I'll go with Barney. Brentford scored first, sat back, tried to play defensive, didn't quite work out, and Brentford now lost 14 points from winning positions. You cannot do that in the Premier League. You cannot do that. And I'm surprised that Thomas Frank haven't sussed it out. He has not sussed it out. He's a cracking manager, right? But he needs to sort out that defence. And mate, I hope it does happen against us on December the 18th. We're playing in the Cup. I think we beat these. On December the 18th. I really do think that. But like Barney said, Fulham didn't give up, and Marcus Silva's done a wonderful job at that football club. He really has. Look, I can see him being there. I can see him being there for the next 5-6 years. I can see him being there for a long time. For a long time, because he is that good. Perfect club, perfect fan base for Marcus Silva. Fulham deserve to win that game. But Harry Wilson, is he ever going to start games? Oh, he does.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll move on to the Gameweek 11 preview games. And just because of time, I'm going to ask for your score prediction. Yeah, go on, Henry. Go for it.
I was just really going to quickly touch on something that I think was a big talking point coming up that game, is that the ticket prices at Fulham are an absolute disgrace. In mind when I saw that, people talking about lots of empty seats, but they're charging upwards of £100 for adults, £50 for under 18s. That's just not okay. So I just wanted to just get a little word in about that, because I think football's for fans. You look at clubs in Germany when they're charging €150 for season tickets because they care about the fans, and the sport is for the fans, and there wouldn't be a sport without the fans. You don't charge people you don't charge under 18s children £50 for a Monday night
game, right?
Absolute
or against any club for that matter.
Harry, facts, absolute facts. I went to Atletico Madrid. I know big Atletico Madrid against Lille, right, for the Champions League. I paid £36 a ticket. 36 quid. And next year, I'm off to Seville to watch Real Betis against Sevilla in hospitality. 220 quid.
Yeah. When I was in Paris. Sorry, go on, Harry.
No, go for it.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to touch on. I was in Paris recently, and we unfortunately the game got postponed, but we were going to go to a Paris FC game. Guess how much the tickets were there? Free. They just want fans in the ground. Across Europe they do things so right, and English football is it's just awful. 20 is plenty, and I feel like it's the message was drilled home 2-3 seasons ago, but it needs to be brought up again, because those prices they're just a disgrace, to be honest. It's just pure greed.
Fulham's prices look good though compared to Spurs. Like Barney said, he paid £95 yesterday to be in the new stand, Riverside stand, and that is a lot. But to put it into context, Spurs' premium top service is 40 grand a year, and you pay a 40 grand joining fee with you get absolutely nothing for it. So it's 80 grand a year. And I'm obviously under 16, and I paid 2,300 for my season ticket a year, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So Spurs lead the way with guilt, and even like the lowest category games, we're talking of a minimum. For my ticket, a minimum of 80, 90 quid, an absolute minimum. And the Arsenal game last year,
it's just a disgrace. And
the cheapest was 140. It's bonkers, absolutely bonkers.
And Harry, if you're like me, I went to Spurs last season, right? And sorry, I went to Spurs last season away, cost us 30 quid.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, and the problem is that it's going to price the everyday fan out of the game. And the Premier League is slowly and surely just becoming a tourist trap. I'm seeing it even more and more at Selhurst. You know, there's people there that can, and I apologise for the language, but they couldn't give two tosses about the teams that are playing. They're just there for a day out, and that's the problem. Is that the more you price the everyday fan, the working class man out of football, you know, it's only going to be bad for the game. So I mean, I didn't want to rant about it, but I did think.
No, thank you for bringing it up.
To touch on it quickly.
Can I just say something quickly? Sorry to cut in very quickly, real quick, right? I mean, you touched on there, fair play, Harry, saying that, but I think these football clubs, especially in the Prem, is going to turn into corporates. They're going to push the real fans out. They're going to turn the football club into corporates. Corporates who knows nothing about football. They're just there, like in Cheltenham race courses, just for a jolly. That's it.
Hey, it's happening already. I think it's happened. I think Spurs. I love my club, and I like the way we're run in several ways. But I think that we've led the way in the wrong way with the ticket prices and corporate and kind of different experiences. And there should be options for those with deep pockets. But I think we do forget the core base of the fans. As you said there, like that Tottenham Newcastle game, right? The away fans, and rightly so, £30 a ticket. The cheapest apparently in that game anyone could get in the family stand, I think, was 65, 67 quid. So you're charging your home fans more as well. That been here years. They're scrapping senior concessions, for example, something that West Ham have also done. And I know both Spurs and West Ham boards have worked together with that. John, if you can keep going, I'll let Henry go, and we'll quickly preview the Gameweek 11 games. Does that work with you, John and Henry?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, cheers for having me on again, Harry. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the pod, guys. And yeah, hopefully see you again soon.
Really appreciate it. Lads. Thank you very much for coming on, Henry. You can find him at
Take
Henry's
care, Harry, you take care, man. It's love to see you, man.
No worries, bud. Yeah, nice to meet you, John. You too, mate.
Have a great evening, Henry.
Yeah, see you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Cheers.
Very much. John, so we will preview really nice. We'll preview the Gameweek 11 games, and we'll run through them. We'll just probably do score predictions, and any busting comments, do absolutely go for it. And the first game we'll go with, I think it's a 3 p.m. kickoff. There's no early kickoff for Gameweek 11 this week. It's Wolves versus Southampton. Talked about the importance for Wolves in winning. Southampton have got their win. How do you see this one going and your score prediction?
I think Southampton's going to make it difficult for Wolves. Wolves need to win this game, and they need to win it very quickly. If they don't win this game, I can see Wolves going to be in big trouble. But going into it, I think Southampton, they don't concede a lot of goals, so Wolves does. And I'm going to be honest with you, I fancy Southampton to win this game. I'm going to go Wolves 1, Southampton 2.
Oh, okay.
Because there was pressure on Wolves.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves. So we're split on the first one, but we have to see, John. We have to see. Next game is West Ham and Everton. Wow. The importance of this game for, in particular, West Ham, I think cannot be underestimated. If they lose this, cracky, that's going to be an interesting place to be at the weekend. John, score prediction again, how you see this one unfolding at the London Stadium?
This game is going to be a tough one to call. I mean, West Ham, when they turn it on, they win games. As for Everton, I mean, look, getting beat off Southampton really damaged them. That's not how you get to lose the game. I'll go with Barney. I'm going to say once each. That one could go either way, but I'm going to say once each.
Okay, one each. Crystal Palace at home to Fulham. This will be interesting. Obviously, a mini London derby, I suppose, if you like. Crystal Palace, we'll be looking to keep up their kind of good run at the moment in terms of getting draws, getting wins. maybe try and win this game. Fulham as well want to build off that dramatic win in the West London derby. So both teams come into this with a little bit of confidence, in particular Fulham. So John, how do you see this happening? Selhurst Park. Do you fancy the home team?
I'm going to go for a draw in this game. I'm going to say 2-2. I mean, Palace are quite solid at home. Fulham, I mean, they're going to have lots of chances there, but I can see goals in this game. This can go either way. I'm going to go 2-2.
I'm going to go 2-2. I will go. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go with you 2-2 in that one. I didn't give my prediction, I don't think, for the previous game, so apologies. West Ham and Everton. I think West Ham will edge it. I'll go 2-1 to West Ham. I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong. Get your score predictions, guys. If you're listening live in the chat, we've got 2-2 here from Barney. Palace and Fulham, obviously, is a Fulham fan, so that's really interesting to hear. Brentford and Bournemouth. Bournemouth come into this, in good form in their big games. Can they keep it up against smaller oppositions? Brentford will also be looking for a response from their loss in the end against Fulham. They can't afford to drop any more points to winning positions, as you rightly mentioned earlier, John. How do you see this one going?
Oh, it's a really tough game.
It is.
Well, Brentford can bounce back, and Bournemouth fresh off that win against Man City. And you know what? When you beat a big team, they normally get beat. On this occasion, I'm going to say Brentford to win by a single goal, 1-0.
I'm going 0-0. No goals in this, and you don't see that a lot, but I'm going to go for that. I think we haven't seen 0-0 for a long time. Brighton versus Man City. I'm going to kick it off with this one. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think Brighton need a result. City's struggling. I'm going to go with 3-1 to Brighton. John, do you think City will lose again?
I wouldn't put it past it with the injuries they've got, but losing to Sporting Lisbon ain't going to help them at all. But if you write off Man City, then that's not a good idea. And I truly believe that this game, if Brighton's on it, they can win it. But they have to start well. But Man City scores first, then that could be a bit of a bother. But I'm gonna go for a draw, and I'm gonna say 1 each.
1 each. Interesting. Liverpool versus Aston Villa, John. This is a big game, isn't it? What do you reckon? Can Liverpool keep winning? Can Villa get a response to their recent bad form?
I think Villa will score, but I'm going to say 2-1 to Liverpool game because Liverpool are on fire at the minute. I mean, I could say 2 or 3-1, but do you know what? I'm going to say 3-1 to Liverpool. The reason I'm saying that because they got goals in them, and I truly believe Liverpool can just get better and better and better. Diaz scored a hat-trick the other day, and he's on fire as well. But Barnes and Jota up front, mind, because he is that good. For me, 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1 to Liverpool. Okay, I'm going to go 1-0 Liverpool. I think they'll actually keep a clean sheet in this. I think Villa have a few problems going forward. I think Watkins is struggling a little bit with form. Next game, I'm going to kick it off as a Spurs fan. We face Ipswich at home. Ipswich, I think, are going to have a real problem away from home this year. And I think they will find themselves in and around the relegation zone all season, whether they can stay up or not. I think it's another thing. They're relying on their home form. We've got injuries going into this game, so I do worry with them. Maybe their attacking threat, but I think that we can definitely expose that Ipswich defence. I'm going to go with 4-1 Spurs. I have no worries about this game. If it was, at Portman Road, I would. John, how do you see this one going? Is there any possibility that Ipswich can get anything from it, do you think, after that Spurs win against Aston Villa?
Probably not, unfortunately. Spurs are that good at home. When the score goes, they get 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, yeah? I'm going to say all the 4. So big up to Anthony, by the way. Big up to you, my guy.
Yeah, big up, mate.
I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say Spurs 4, Ipswich 1.
Yeah, so you're going the same with me.
Same
We've
with
got
you.
some predictions in the chat. Barney goes 3-0 Spurs. I agree with Ant in a large way that we won't keep a clean sheet, but thank you very much for your prediction. Ant says 3-1 Spurs. So we'll have to see how that one goes. Manchester United versus Leicester. This will be interesting to go. I believe that this Amaron doesn't take over, does he, until after the international break, or is this his first game? I can't remember. I think
it takes over after this game.
After. So not
the international break.
this.
So not this game.
That's what I felt.
Rudy's going to manage this one as well.
It's confusing the other day because they said about Amaron being his last game, but I was like, I thought it was after the international break. So thank you for confirming that. Man United obviously beat Leicester 5-2 in the cup, so that Leicester can maybe learn from what went wrong. I think Leicester could be a good opposition. I think they're posed problems going forward, but I can't see them getting anything out of the game. I'm going to go with 2-0 to Manchester United. I do actually think they keep a clean sheet despite Leicester's attacking threat in recent weeks, in particular off the bench. Jordan, Vardy from the start. So how do you see this one going, John?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Man U because I think they'll win this game. I think they want to put on a good performance for Amorim comes in, because you know what, he could be watching back in Portugal to see who's put some performance in. You never know, but hey ho, 2-1 to United.
Leicester fan Ant goes 2-1 to the mighty City. Saying no,
sorry,
bias, of course. I hope he's right. And there's nothing, if any Man United fans in here, I'm sorry, there's nothing against you. I've no hate against your club, but I think when you appoint a new manager, Amorim, I think you'll be really good, and maybe even the top 4 battle with Spurs come the end of the season. It might be a wild shout and unpopular, but I think give it time and it will come together for Amorim. I think he will need time, but there's always an outside threat. Barney says, I think 2-1 to United. Leicester will give it a go. They absolutely will, and they always will do, I think, this season. I have no doubt at all. I think that's what the manager gives them. I think they'll be all right. This one I've got all eyes on, and I'm sure you have, John, as a Newcastle fan. Away to Forest. And you could have an opportunity here to end Forest's good run. I mean, you need to avoid losing, I would say, in terms of you need to work your way up the table and catch teams like Forest. So I know you're not feeling confident at this moment in time, but what's your score prediction?
Oh, well, we beat Arsenal, though, didn't we? But going into the Forest game, I think don't forget we won the last 2 games against Chelsea and Arsenal, and we haven't conceded a goal, but this game could go either way. If Chris was on fire, we could be in big trouble, yeah? But Milenkovic at the back, wonderful defender, him. He's holding things together. Big up to Nikola and Milenkovic. They got some good players, and Nuno's done a wonderful job, yeah? Adoy's playing well, Elanga's playing well, Wood's playing well, Elliot Anderson, he's the one who holds it together. I think this guy is going to cause us a lot of problems. As for us, I mean, Isak's got to keep going. Can he score for the 4th time in a row? He's on fire at the minute. I mean, he scored 3 in the last 3 games. Yeah. But team selection is going to be so key. You got, I believe, Livramento and Luso's playing left back. Same back 4. It's going to be close, but I'll take a draw as it comes. I want it to be 2-1 to Newcastle, but I'm going to say 1 each.
Okay.
I take 1 each.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a draw. There's going to be goals. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I will go 2-1 Newcastle. I think I'm going with a surprise result in this. But what I will say about Forest is they've really impressed me. And you mentioned there, Chris Wood, key part of it, that vocal number 9 that Nuno looks to, holds the ball up, and he's just in prime form at the moment. They've got pacey wingers in Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. They've got that defensive midfielder doing the dirty work, the unrecognised work off the ball in Ryan Yates. They've got the right defence. You mentioned them, Milenkovic doing really well with Murillo. Then they have Aina as one of the fullbacks, who I think has been exceptional. They work in partner really well, and a really good goalkeeper in Matt Sells, who's really impressed me this year. So they've got the right balance, and Elliot Anderson in and out of the team, as you said, real balance. So Forest have got it absolutely spot on, and if you dive deeper, it's no surprise their secret. It is, though, I think that where they are in the table and the results they've got, if you look into it and why it's really gluing together, you look at that team, it isn't the surprise that maybe first appeared. So we'll see how that one goes. And last but not least, Chelsea against Arsenal. This will be a big one. Arsenal can't afford to lose this. I think it does put them out of the title race if they do. So, John, how do you see this one going?
I totally agree. I mean, they can't afford to lose this game, but Chelsea's playing well at this moment in time. They love to attack. I mean, the first goal is going to be very, very key. I think Odegaard could be back for this game on Sunday by the looks of it, but which will help a lot. But they still need a world-class 9. They should have got a world-class 9. Let's not start Isak in the summer. That's cool, but at the end of the day, it's going to be very close. This game could be 2 each. I'm going to go for 2-2.
Going for 2-2. Oh, interesting. How do you think both teams will do, though, come the end of the season?
I think Chelsea will be top 4. I really do. I mean, they're just going to get better and better. And Cole Palmer, he's the one who's going to hold it together. And if he's on fire, and Nicholas Jackson, by the way, then cool.
Yeah, he's done well.
But Arsenal, I tell you one thing, if they lose this game, I could see him being in serious trouble, not making top 4 this season. But
can you see Arteta going in the international break if they lose this badly, maybe?
Nah, I can't see him leaving.
No?
I don't think he'll leave. I don't think they'll sack him. They won't sack him, but it's what's going on behind the scenes. It's not good. But
He doesn't look good anyway.
Nah, don't look good at all. I mean, his body language in the minute's not right, but I'm going to say, I think it's going to, I think if a Man City job comes up, I think he end up going there.
Well, Arteta?
Yeah.
Do you think they'd
There's
want
a
him?
lot of people saying that he could be the next one to go in there if Pep goes, but
Not for me.
nah, definitely not for me either.
He probably won it, but at the same time, he won't nothing more, will he, than winning with Arsenal. Arsenal through and through. That's the thing. But I completely agree with you. I think he could just be a project manager, and he's done some good work at Arsenal. Like set pieces, I know maybe not at this moment in time, but generally they've really improved on. They've become a team that consistently does compete, but they've spent enough money to be able to get over the line. And people say, yeah, but they've got players injured, but they've got away with that so far. This is the first time they've really experienced injuries in the whole Arteta project. Really, if you dissect it, and he's had a lot of players. Edu's been very key to the players that Arteta's got in, the patience in and the back in. And although it still looks like the right decision, when do you say enough is enough? And I'm not suggesting they should sack him by any means, but I don't think he's done enough to get that Man City job. I think he should be winning trophies every year with the team he's got. Doesn't necessarily say in the Premier League, but last year I think was a bad season for Arsenal, probably better for Man United because they won a trophy. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. They lost in City games at Fulham away, West Ham, Villa at home. If they were one of those games, they would have been champions. But he couldn't get over the line.
But I'll give them credit. They battled right to the very end.
100%.
And they were good last season, and they were unlucky in periods. But this year, it doesn't look good for them in this moment in time.
I agree with you. But you know what? Trossard's not playing well. You got to Martinelli. He hasn't been playing well. Saka, he's carrying the team. He is carrying the team. And when you got a player like Saka carrying the team, then the others just not performing. That's the thing, though, Harry. They're not performing. That's the thing. Havertz blows hot and cold. Yeah, he gets scores, so he blows hot and cold. Declan Rice, good player. Woeful on Saturday, I'm not going to lie. But they definitely need a number 9. Their defence, by the way, is not bad. Saliba and Gavin Magash.
Yeah. No, 100%. That wraps us up for this week's episode of the Premier League podcast. I want to thank Henry Swain for joining me earlier from the Palace Way. So big up to him. He represents the Palace Way really, really well. Big up also to Joesph, who sadly did have to leave us earlier for technical issues, audio issues, quite a few issues he did have. But we hope to get him on the show maybe in the foreseeable future. John, massive thanks to you. Keep up the incredible work as always, and don't listen to any trolls. Where can people find you across social media and talk to people about the John Sinclair TV podcast?
Well, thanks so much for having us on, Harry. Thanks for the chat as well. You lot, it's been amazing to us as well. And what have I got coming up? I'm doing a hospitality vlog on Saturday. I'll be going to the Conference League between York City, top of the table, against Hartlepool. Around here for night, so I'll be doing that for hospitality. I don't want Bristol City against Leeds. Hospitality and matchday vlogs all on in, and I'll be doing that. And that cost me £65 for I think it's a breakfast buffet, and I think you get Danish and that as well. So you get a big buffet there, and I'll be doing that. So I think it's going to be 7,000, 8,000 going to turn up for that game. And then the following week, I'll be off to Stockport County against Wrexham for a round the ground vlog. I'll be doing that. And then I'll be off to Italy the week after that as well. So I'm going to switch up my channel.
Lovely.
Switch it up a bit. So something different, something new for me. I'll be doing that. It's like a match day vlog for Newcastle. It's different, but
it's not a full-time job for you yet, though, is it, YouTuber?
Not yet, no, because I'm not getting enough subs in a minute. Like, I've got a lot, but for me, if I keep doing what I'm doing and do those new projects in different stadiums and that, and by the way, I'm going to Celtic as well next month for the 29th of December against St Johnstone. I'll be going to Celtic for hospitality as well. That'd be a big one for me, and I'll be doing that as well. So the question is, what was the question, Harry? Sorry, the question is, what's the question?
That way, can people find you across social media?
Oh, sorry about that. It's John Sinclair TV.
Right.
John_NESC42 on X, John Sinclair 55 on Insta, John Sinclair TV on TikTok, and John Sinclair on Facebook. So I've got 4 socials there. And for me, I don't use Facebook that much, but TikTok, yes, check us out on that as well. Again, lots of followers on there as well. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm just enjoying it, man. Just enjoying it.
Fantastic. It's what we like to hear. So go check John out and the rest of the panel. You can follow me there at Harry Scarfe 22 across all socials, your Instagram, your TikTok, your X, but also do subscribe to the channel. Scarfe Spurs Talk for Premier League, England and Spurs content. But for now, a massive thank you to everyone and enjoy the rest of your week.
There you go.